Hey guys, how you guys doing? Just thought I'd do some bed rant. So technically, my mall ban ended yesterday, the 6th of April, but I didn't go to the mall because what if it ended? What if the ban ended at 4 and I went there at 3? I don't want to I don't want to play with that borderline. That's a song by Madonna, by the way, borderline. So I'll go today. Today after my ban it was lifted. So so I'm going to the mall today. So just letting you guys know, it is a rant after all that I'm doing. So I'll just drop in, but probably a slide in because dropping would imply it came from above. Sliding is level ground. No, so just thought I'd announce that, and the latest song I've done on my channel is Junkie by Steve Vai. It's off of Flexible, but he spells it wrong. It's Flexable, that he spells it with an A-B-L-E. It's actually supposed to be I-B-L-E, but he breaks it into two words, flex and able. Side one is flex, and side two is able, side able. And I'm telling you because I'm talking, if you can do Junkie, this is not to boost myself up, but if you can do Junkie, you can do just about anything on guitar. He came out, it was fresh off of his Frank Zappa days when Zappa couldn't even stump him anymore. Frank Zappa could throw anything he wants at Steve Vai and he would just get it. So he makes the first album after that. Yeah, if my memory is correct, Flexible came out in 1984, same year as the first Yngwie Malmsteen album, which was called Yngwie Malmsteen's Rising Force. And those two forces, Steve Vai and Yngwie Malmsteen, both coming out with an album in kind of an intro album for both of them, even though Yngwie was in Steeler first, and then he was in Alcatraz in 1983. But it was his first solo album, and it wasn't really Steve's first thing because he came out with Frank Zappa. That was his, but Flexible was his first solo album. That was a year that things were about to change because you have these two guys that could just play anything, and different styles, each of them, not even the same ilk, but yet they were both awesome. And I've done takes from both those two albums. I've done Black Star, Far Beyond the Sun, and Now Your Ships Are Burned off of Yngwie Malmsteen's Rising Force. And I've done Junkie and the Attitude Song off of Steve Vai's Flexible. Well, they're both possessive. It says Yngwie Malmsteen's Rising Force, Steve Vai's Flexible. And actually the last two, the last Yngwie one was the one I wasn't sure I could do. Now Your Ships Are Burned, and I did okay. I did it. This one, my last one, was Junkie, and I just did it. Something tells me to do things, and I just do it. If I'd have thought about it too hard, I would have said I can't do this. Junkie's too hard, but I didn't do that. I didn't step aside of my process and put myself down. I just did the process, and it took 3 takes to get it good enough that I'll leave it now. I'll leave it the way it is. I didn't do perfect, of course, but you've got a soft part that has lyrics, which you have to sing and remember the lyrics. And it's got one of the coolest and most complicated and, again, coolest solo pieces in rock history, which is the solo, the guitar solo to Junkie. And then he has to go into this weird stuff where he's doing all kinds of Zappa-esque stuff, and you got to get that down. And then you got to finish the song. It's really hard, but and you guys know me pretty well. I think if I didn't get the solo, I wasn't ready to do it. The solo had to come first for me. And that solo, should I talk about it a little bit? That solo, and to get the solo right, you have to do every little piece of the solo and do it right. This is not an easy task with Junkie. But after that, I added the first part of chords and vocals. I added the part where he kind of jams a little after the solo. And that was after the fact. That was after I knew I had the solo first. I did the solo. Actually, when I learned it, I did. Actually, that's not. I had learned the solo a little bit. So when I did my actual learning process, I did do the. I did do it according to the CD because you didn't want to skip things. So I did do the chords and the vocals, but then I did the solo. But I knew I had the solo, so it was okay to do the chords and vocals at the beginning. I knew I could do the solo. I didn't have it, or I would be learning it. But that solo is just Jesus. I just love the sound of it. I love the technique of it, and I love the theory behind it. Should talk about it a little bit. Okay, so Junkie, the last chord before the guitar solo is an A major chord, and it can flip as an A major seventh chord because he uses it kind of like that kind of context. It's got the major. It's like an A major seven or an A major chord. And then he takes that A major or major seventh as a Lydian thing, not an Ionian thing. Steve Vai and Joe Satriani loved Lydian mode, or still love Lydian mode. They're still here. But if he treats A Lydian kind of like an F sharp Dorian in his solo. He's more playing F sharp Dorian, but that's a relative minor mode to A Lydian, so it works. And it's more rock and roll to play F sharp Dorian than it is to try to play an A Lydian solo. So go down. Often, if you're in a major key, go down to minor third and play the relative minor mode or key. Then you have a good sound sometimes. So he's playing F sharp Dorian over an A Lydian-ish major seventh chord, and just mayhem erupts. I love the intro, the very intro lick that it gets played twice but differently each time. It's just so cool. I mean, how do you think of that? You know, dun, dun, dun. That's to kind of go over it a little bit. Dun, dun, you know what that is? First of all, the middle of that, the heart of that is an F sharp power chord. It's got F sharp and F sharp and C sharp make an F sharp power chord. But he does the E below the F sharp, which is a flat 7 to 1 note, you know, change. Then the F sharp and C sharp make the power chord, and then you go from C sharp to D sharp, which is a 5 to major 6, we call it 13 note change. And so you have the flat 7, the 1, the 5, and the 6. And that's a cool sound. He like goes a whole step below the root and then a whole step above the fifth. And I don't think anyone in rock had ever even done that up until that time. And I don't think people do it very much now. But I'm trying to. But anyway, whatever. So dun dun. It kind of highlights that F sharp, you know, power chord. And then it's just dun. That's just an F sharp to A to F sharp to A sharp to F sharp to A to B. So that's just the root minor third perfect fourth. Simple, right? F sharp A B, root minor third fourth. And then he keeps climbing up. So now he's on the fourth. Remember that? He's on fourth, which is B. And then he does a slow kind of version of one of his favorite licks he'll use in his career from then on over and over and over again. It's a lick that is the lick implies a minor pentatonic scale, but it's not played as a minor pentatonic scale. It's played as a minor seventh arpeggio with the fourth or 11th below the root, a fifth below, major fifth, a perfect fifth below the root. You guys get that? So like it's those 5 notes. If you take a minor seventh chord and play the fourth, you get a minor pentatonic scale. So the lick is to play the fourth, which in this case would be B, B, B. Get that? B. Then a fifth up makes F sharp. So far that's the fourth, and then the root, because the root is F sharp. Then he plays the F sharp minor seventh lick. So arpeggio. So then it's F sharp, A, F sharp, A, C sharp, E, and then he slides up to F sharp, the root. So it's a minor seventh form with a perfect fourth below the root. Therefore, there's 5 notes, and those 5 notes make up the minor pentatonic scale in the key of the whatever note you played the minor seventh of. And he uses that like all through his career. And here he does it kind of a slow version of it. It's not just ripped through, so it's kind of cool. So he does that lick. So the actual notes, want to hear those? I'll tell you. F, G, A. It's to be B. I already did that. B, F sharp, A, C sharp, E. And then that's that cool lick. And he does it. You can do it up and down ad infinitum. You can slide around, do all kinds of stuff with it. He loves that lick. And then from the E, you slide up to F sharp. That's not part of the lick thing really, but it goes, but this is going on past the lick into the rest of the solo. So it goes up to F sharp, slide up to F sharp, or whatever you want to go to F sharp. And then it's a cool descent of 2/4 in a row. You get F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. Wow, there's a thing. So it's F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, fourth, starting with the root, then the fifth, then the second. Because if you go down in perfect fourths, it's the same as going up in fifths. If you go up in fifths, from a root, you get a 1, then a 5, then a 2. But if you go down in fourths, it's 1, 5, 2 also, but down fourths instead of up fifths. So it goes da da da. That's F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. And then the tricky guy goes to a G sharp minor triad. Da, da, da. The G sharp minor triad is the second mode above Dorian is Phrygian. If you have F sharp Dorian, you also have G sharp Phrygian, and Phrygian supports a minor triad. So the playing that G sharp minor triad is consistent with F sharp Dorian because it's just the 2 minor chord in Dorian. Da, da, da. Then he does a lick. Da, da, da. That's a lick in again. It's a lick in the phrased as though it's a G sharp minor pentatonic lick, but still, if you have F sharp Dorian has an F sharp minor pentatonic scale and a G sharp minor pentatonic scale. A Dorian supports a minor pentatonic scale up a whole tone. So there you have it, the G sharp minor 7th lick, and then da, 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 you guys can figure that note out, whatever. And then he does it again. Then he does a G sharp note, and then he does a pattern. And that's also like a G sharp minor pentatonic lick, but then again that's supported by an F sharp Dorian note. And then that's just the intro to the solo. Then he goes dan 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 dan. It sounds like he's doing like a lullaby or something, but it's really still an F sharp Dorian, or like we said was actually a Lydian. But anyway, I'll think of it as F sharp Dorian. Dan dan dan. F sharp minor 7. I mean F sharp Dorian lick there. Then it's an F sharp note, kind of slides on a little bit, and then another wicked part of the solo. He does on the G string. He slides from. He does an F sharp. It's an F sharp Dorian lick, but it's actually phrased F G A B as a C sharp, kind of like a C sharp minor pentatonic lick. But then again, there's a C sharp minor pentatonic in D Dorian. D Dorian has D minor pentatonic, G sharp, no, D E F G A. No, I'm not in D. I'm in F sharp. F sharp Dorian has F sharp minor pentatonic, C sharp minor pentatonic, and G sharp minor pentatonic in it. So there he is. There he has it. He's playing a C sharp minor pentatonic, which works. F G A B, yeah. Then an F sharp minor pentatonic lick. And then he goes, let's see if I can even hum it here. And that's the end of that little phrase, that lick. A lot of atonality sound going on in that. The one I just hummed. But it's not that bad if you really think. Once you learn it and analyze it, it's really not completely atonal as it may sound. It's still based in F sharp Dorian, except for there's a couple of phrases that imply or play a G sharp dominant chord, dominant 7th chord, a G sharp dominant 7th chord, or a G sharp dominant 7 sharp 9 chord. So why is he playing a G sharp, dominant 7th chord, or a G sharp Hendrix chord essentially in this context? Well, let's analyze it. Let's analyze a G sharp dominant 7th over F sharp Dorian minor, no, Dorian, yeah, F sharp Dorian, and see what we can figure out. Okay, let's do this. So in F sharp Dorian, F sharp Dorian supports a G sharp Phrygian, but G sharp Phrygian can easily become G sharp Phrygian dominant by just raising the seventh of the, no, wait, let me get this right. We're raising the third of the G sharp minor seventh to make it a G sharp dominant seventh. So raising the third of the G sharp minor seventh to G sharp dominant seventh involves playing G A B implies playing G sharp C. Can you believe that? It plays a C, which is actually B sharp, but let's call it C. To make it a G sharp Phrygian dominant, raise the third of, because the third of G sharp can third of G sharp is G8, can be considered C. Okay. So how does that relate to the F sharp Dorian thing you're playing? Well, if you play an F sharp Dorian mode and raise the fourth of the F sharp Dorian from B to C, what note, which is actually B sharp, but I'm going to call it C. What do you get? Well, let's do this. If you changing the G sharp from a Phrygian to a Phrygian dominant means you just changed from C sharp Aeolian, which is implied by F sharp Dorian. You're changing it into C sharp harmonic minor. So suddenly you're in a C sharp harmonic minor, which makes your F sharp into an F sharp Dorian sharp 4 mode, because Dorian sharp 4 is the fourth mode of harmonic minor scale. So raising the third of the G sharp to C raises the fourth of F sharp Dorian from B to C, and that gives you an F sharp Dorian sharp 4 mode. It's the fourth mode of harmonic minor. In this case, the fourth mode of C sharp harmonic minor. And that scale, the Dorian sharp 4, is very underrated, very overlooked. It's played in Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult. Oh yeah. Yeah, he does that. And Satriani uses it in his solos a lot. At least a lot more than most people, which is basically none. And it's also called the evil scale. They call the Dorian sharp 4 the evil scale. It has a very sinister vibe, like a Dorian mode with a raised 4, which is the tritone, which is literally the devil in music above the F sharp. F sharp to C is a tritone, which is the devil in music. And do that, make that C replace the normal fourth, which is B, and then play the Dorian with the sharp 4 with it like that. Very evil, sinister sounding, which I love. And all the rest, that's mainly the dissonance, mainly the atonal sounding, atonal type of sound he gets in that series of licks, is just that what I just explained, how he throws that in there. And then he goes dun 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 dun. Then there's like a timpani, or there's a triangle or something helping him out with the harmony for the next lick, and he just does a rock lick, really fast lick, picking lick, but not just all picking, but a lot of it. Rock and roll, alternate picking, fast. He descends in sextuplets. No, I'm not trying to be 6 notes at a time. 2 notes on each string, played descending, but then descending down the pattern as the notes change diatonically. That's its cool thing. In F sharp Dorian. Then he goes into some. Then it's the end of the song. It's not the end, but it's the beginning of the end. It starts with some melody things. He does some B Mixolydian licks. Then he switches to D Mixolydian licks, and then he switches to C Lydian licks, but C Lydian is a relative Lydian of D mixed Lydian, so it's not that big of a shift there. And then he ends it on C Lydian with a note with an octave on E, which is the third of C, and then just hits a note. That's the end of the song. Wow, a lot going on there. But it's worth it. As a musician, you sometimes have to say, this is hard, but is it worth it? Do I want to do it? And if you want to do it, you'll probably do it, because you're going to do what it takes to do it. If you don't want to do it, you won't do it, because you won't do what it takes to do it. And I always love that song with especially the solo on Junkie, and Junkie the song too. But and I did it. It's good enough to keep, and I'm happy. I'm happy and I just go with the flow. Like, I just get something will tell me to do something, and I'll just do it. I don't question, should I, can I just go do it. And I did the same with Bohemian Rhapsody, which Dal suggested, and I went live learning it. Got 2.6 thousand views, but that shows I don't use tab pretty well, doesn't it? Wouldn't you say? And the same with this what do you call it, Junkie. I challenge you to find any of that in tablature. I haven't looked, so I wouldn't know. I learned it by ear. But if anybody can produce the whole song and solo to Junkie by Steve Vai from Flexible 1984, if you could produce the tablature to that, and then make a case that I looked that up, and then after that I use that tab to learn Junkie, I'll give you $10. I don't think you'll pull it off. I don't think there is such a tablature, and I did it by ear, which I do all myself. And that may not be a big deal as far as that big of a no-no, but people, when they say they do that, they're not just saying I use tabs, they're calling me a liar about it. And that makes it negative in and of itself. Whether tablatures are good or bad, they're also saying I lied about it. And lying is usually considered bad, I would think, don't you think? They're not just saying I use tabs, which implies I'm a weak musician, but they're saying I'm lying about it, which implies I lie. Well, you know what I'm saying? And that makes it a negative thing. And I'm saying no to both of those. I don't use tabs, and I'm not lying about it. Because people don't know the wrong.